You could hear the silence before the scream. 1 second, Jefferson High's cafeteria buzzed with the usual noise of teenage chaos. Shrieks over soda spills, the metallic clang of lunch trays, basketballs bouncing off vending machines. The next, that world stopped cold. A violent, metallic crash echoed through the air like a car wreck in a church. Something had shattered. No, someone. Destiny Washington lay sprawled on the cold linoleum, her prosthetic leg twisted underneath her like a broken puppet. Around her were the splintered remains of her $20,000 wheelchair, the one her late uncle, a Navy mechanic, had custom-built before he died in a motorcycle crash 2 years back. The silence lasted only a second before the laughter started. 3 senior boys stood over her, their Letterman jackets shining beneath the cafeteria's unforgiving fluorescence. The ringleader, Colton Bradford, still held the aluminum baseball bat in his gloved hand, grinning, amused. Grayson Mitchell and Blake Harrison flanked him, each with the stupid swagger of boys too drunk on power to realize how far they'd gone. "Oh no," Blake said mockingly, bending down with a carton of chocolate milk. "You dropped your dignity again, Destiny." With theatrical flair, he poured it over her head. The brown liquid dripped slowly down her braids and soaked into her hoodie. Phones were already out. Students were filming. No one moved to help. Destiny didn't cry. She hadn't cried in public in years, not since her accident, not since becoming the only black disabled student at Jefferson High, not since realizing that pain was less of a weakness and more of a constant. Instead, she clenched her fists, breathing through her nose, counting silently like her therapist had taught her. Colton crouched beside her. "Come on, Wheels, give us a speech. Tell us how you're differently abled and brave and inspirational and all that Lifetime movie bull." His breath reeked of Monster energy drinks and privilege. Destiny locked eyes with him. "You're going to regret this." Colton smirked. "What are you gonna do, roll over my foot?" The cafeteria doors flew open so hard the hinges rattled. Students flinched. Phones turned toward the sound. Standing there, backlit by the white glow of midday sun, was a man in partial military uniform. His beard was trimmed but rugged. His boots were scuffed. Behind him padded a large German shepherd, alert and low to the ground. The man scanned the cafeteria like he was clearing a room in Kandahar. His eyes were cold, calculating, but not surprised. He took it all in. Destiny on the floor, the shattered wheelchair, the bat, the milk, the 3 smug seniors. He didn't speak, he simply moved. With deliberate, unfaltering steps, he crossed the entire length of the cafeteria. Students parted instinctively. Even the teachers, still frozen by the shock of the moment, stepped aside. The German shepherd stayed at his side, each pause step silent but sharp. No one knew who he was. Destiny blinked up at him, disoriented. He knelt. "You hurt?" he asked her quietly, the tone more soldier to soldier than adult to teen. "My chair's gone," she said, "but I'm okay." The dog sat beside her, unmoving. Its eyes never left Colton. The man nodded, reached into his jacket, and gently wiped the chocolate milk off Destiny's face with a clean, folded bandana. Then, finally, he stood up. Facing the boys now, he said nothing. Not yet. Colton tried to act tough. "Who the hell are you?" The man pulled a silver tag from around his neck and held it up briefly. "Staff Sergeant Logan Hayes, U.S. Army, returnee." "Oh, hell," Grayson muttered. "He's one of those." The man's voice was calm. "I was across the street. Thought I heard something. Sounded like someone hitting a child with a bat." Colton laughed nervously. "She's not a child. She's fine. It was just a prank." "Prank?" Logan's voice made the word sound filthy. "You destroyed a medical device," he said slowly. "You humiliated a disabled student in front of 200 witnesses. And you laughed." His eyes moved to each boy in turn. "I've seen Taliban fighters treat children better." The cafeteria stayed dead silent. Even the security guards by the door didn't dare interrupt. Logan turned to Destiny again. "Can you walk?" "With help," she said, "but I'm not going to. Not yet." He nodded in respect. Then he turned back to the crowd. "To the students filming, good. Keep those videos. Make backups. Upload them. This matters." Grayson tried to step back, bumping into a lunch table. "You can't threaten us. My dad's on the school board." "Perfect," Logan replied. "That makes this easier." He looked down at the dog. Valor. The German shepherd let out a low, rumbling growl. The boys jumped. "He's a decorated K-9 unit. He served in Iraq and Afghanistan. Detected 42 IEDs. Saved my life 4 times. He's trained to detect stress, fear, and—" Logan looked at Colton. "Liz." "Dude," Blake whispered. "He's not joking." Logan took out his phone. "Just got off the phone with an attorney. The DOJ has a hotline for disability discrimination in public schools. Turns out hate crimes carry federal weight." He raised his eyes toward the teachers. "Principal Coleman isn't here, I assume?" Several teachers looked ashamed. "Thought so." He turned toward the students again, this time addressing them directly. "This is the part where I make a request. Not for justice, for awareness." He pulled out a small card and held it up. It had the logo of a YouTube channel on it. Heroes for Animals. If you care about stories like Destiny's, if you care about real courage, human or K-9, I hope you'll subscribe. We highlight voices like hers every week, because the world needs to see what real strength looks like. He paused, just long enough for the message to sink in. Then, "Now, someone get this girl a clean chair, and someone call the cops." Grayson panicked. "You can't call the cops on us." "I'm not," Logan said simply. "Destiny is." The girl on the floor, covered in milk, surrounded by broken metal and viral videos, smiled for the first time. And then she said, loud and clear, "I'd like to press charges." Officer Mariah Martinez had been patrolling Jefferson High's district for 6 years, and she could count on one hand the number of times she'd been called to the school. But today was different. Dispatch said, "Student assault, medical device destroyed," and, this one chilled her, "potential hate crime caught on video." By the time she arrived with backup, the school parking lot was packed with parents, reporters, and local activists. Word had spread like wildfire. Justice for Destiny was already trending on TikTok, and the video of Colton swinging the bat like a home run champ had hit 2 million views in under an hour. Inside the front office, chaos brewed. Students whispered in hallways, teachers huddled behind closed doors. The principal had finally appeared, looking like he'd aged 10 years in 30 minutes. And in the nurse's office, Destiny Washington sat in a backup wheelchair, her hoodie still damp, her braids still sticky with chocolate milk, but her posture as straight as a Marine's. Beside her stood Staff Sergeant Logan Hayes, arms crossed, eyes alert. His dog Valor sat at her feet, like a sentinel made of muscle and resolve. Mariah knocked before entering. "Ms. Washington, I'm Officer Martinez. May I come in?" "Please," Logan answered for her. "She's been waiting." Destiny gave a small nod. "I want to file a report. 3 students assaulted me and destroyed my wheelchair. I have witnesses. I have footage. I know their names." Martinez sat across from her, pulled out a notepad. "We're going to take this seriously. I promise you that." As Destiny gave her statement, Logan quietly pulled out a USB drive. "This has 37 video files taken by students, time-stamped, multiple angles, some with audio." Mariah raised her brows. "You collected this already?" Logan simply replied, "We don't wait around where I come from." The air was thick with purpose. Destiny detailed everything: how Grayson had kicked the chair's control panel, how Blake poured milk on her, how Colton swung the bat like it was a game, how she'd reported bullying 17 times in 3 months and received nothing but polite apologies and empty promises. Martinez's jaw tightened as she scribbled notes. When Destiny finished, the officer nodded. I'm placing all 3 boys under arrest, pending charges for aggravated assault, destruction of property, and possibly federal civil rights violations. She stood up and turned to Logan. And you are? Retired Army. I saw the incident through the cafeteria window. I responded. I didn't touch anyone. Martinez cracked a half smile. I didn't ask if you did. I'm just glad someone stepped up. In the main office, the 3 boys sat in stunned silence. Colton's cocky grin was gone, replaced with something smaller, more nervous. Grayson chewed a fingernail. Blake kept glancing at the door. I told you this would happen, Grayson mumbled. You hit her with a freaking bat. It wasn't even that hard, Colton snapped. You guys are acting like I killed her. It's just a wheelchair. $20,000 wheelchair, Blake muttered. And now the cops are here. This is all over the internet, bro. My sister already texted me. My mom is on her way down here. Colton folded his arms. My dad'll fix this. Just then, the door opened, and in walked Mayor Raymond Bradford, red-faced and boiling. What the hell is going on here? He demanded. Principal Coleman stepped forward. There was an incident, sir. Your son. Save it, the mayor barked. I just watched the video. Do you have any idea what kind of damage this does? To me? To my campaign? Colton stood up. Dad! It was a joke. Mayor Bradford's voice dropped. Joke? You destroyed a disabled black girl's wheelchair on camera. She's a minor. That's not a joke, Colton. That's a career-ending headline. That's lawsuits. That's prison. The door opened again. Officer Martinez entered. Mr. Bradford, I'll need you to step aside. We're placing your son under arrest. You're not serious. I'm absolutely serious. His actions fall under aggravated assault and destruction of medical equipment. There's strong evidence of a civil rights violation, possibly a hate crime. Don't you know who I am? Martinez's reply was cool and precise. Yes, sir. I do. And that's why we're doing this by the book. She motioned to the officers behind her. Colton Bradford, Grayson Mitchell, Blake Harrison, you are under arrest. You have the right to remain silent. The cuffs clicked. Phones rose again. Students filming through hallway windows. The sound of boots echoed as the boys were led away. Colton looked stunned. Blake's face turned pale. Grayson looked down, defeated. The school would never be the same. Outside, Destiny and Logan emerged through the main doors. Students lined the hallway like a gauntlet of quiet reverence. Some whispered thank you. Others simply made way. At the top of the steps, reporters surged forward. Destiny, do you feel vindicated? Was the soldier your father? What's your next move? Destiny raised her hand, silencing them. I'm not here to be a headline. I'm here to be heard. She looked into the cameras. Every day kids like me walk, or roll, through schools where we're invisible until we're attacked. This time, someone saw. This time, someone stood up. Logan stepped beside her. There are heroes everywhere. Some wear uniforms. Some have 4 legs. But sometimes, the bravest people are the ones who refuse to stay silent. Valor barked once, sharp and proud. Destiny smiled. Back at home that night, Logan sat on Destiny's porch, sipping sweet tea with his boots up on the railing. Valor lay at his feet, tail thumping lazily. You good? He asked, not looking at her. I don't know, she replied. I think so. Part of me still hears that bat swinging, still feels that milk, still sees them laughing. Logan nodded. Yeah, that stuff don't leave easy. But you stood up, and when people stand, others stand with them. She looked at him. Why'd you help me? Logan didn't answer right away. He scratched behind Valor's ear. My sister, he said finally. Got hurt when she was 12. Lost her mobility. Kids were cruel. I was overseas at the time. By the time I came home, it was too late to make it right. He looked at Destiny, eyes steady. I wasn't about to let history repeat itself. She didn't speak, just leaned back into her chair and looked at the stars. Tomorrow's gonna be nuts, she muttered. Yeah, Logan said, but you've already survived worse. They sat in silence for a long time. One soldier, one survivor, and a war dog whose loyalty never wavered. By the time the sun rose over Jefferson the next morning, the cafeteria had been scrubbed, the bat confiscated, and the milk-stained floor buffed so clean you could see your reflection. But Destiny Washington's story wasn't going anywhere. The school's voicemail was full by 9 Kims. The superintendent's office was flooded with emails, half of them demanding accountability, the other half offering support. Social media was ablaze. The video of the attack had passed 5 million views overnight. Local news stations ran segments titled "Courage in a Cafeteria" and "Soldier and Service Dog Stand Up for Disabled Teen." In Destiny's AP History class, the usual morning shuffle was replaced by something electric. Students whispered, some still replaying the clip on their phones. When Destiny wheeled in, this time in her battered backup chair, everyone turned. She didn't like attention. Not like this. But she didn't flinch either. Ms. Chen, her AP teacher, had tears in her eyes. Destiny, I had no idea it was this bad. Destiny gave a small smile. It's okay. No, Ms. Chen replied. It's not. Destiny rolled to her seat, the only one in the class with a custom desk accommodation. And even that had been a year-long fight to get installed. Ms. Chen turned to the class. Before we begin today's lesson on the civil rights movement, I want to take a moment. What happened yesterday was more than bullying. It was an assault. It was racism. It was ableism. And it was wrong. A student raised his hand. What can we do, as students? The question hung in the air. Another hand shot up. Start a petition. Demand Colton's expulsion. Fundraisers for a new chair, someone else added. Make a club for disability awareness. Destiny blinked. She hadn't expected this. She'd crawled across that cafeteria floor alone, but today voices were rising beside hers. Meanwhile, in the district's administration building across town, chaos wore a suit and tie. Principal Coleman had been called in for an emergency meeting. Sitting across from him were Superintendent Walsh, 3 school board members, and, uninvited but entirely unstoppable, Logan Hayes. Coleman shifted nervously. We weren't expecting Mr. Hayes. Logan leaned back in the metal chair, arms crossed. Valor sitting by the door like a soldier guarding a prisoner. That's the problem, isn't it? You weren't expecting anyone to actually show up. The superintendent cleared his throat. Let's begin. Destiny's folder laid on the table, nearly 2 inches thick. Each page a documented complaint. 17 in total. Dates, incidents, names, most stamped with the same administrative response. Situation reviewed, no action taken. Logan tapped the folder. You ignored her. Again and again. That's called deliberate indifference. That's not just a mistake, it's a liability. One of the board members, a woman with silver glasses and a tight jawline, spoke. Mr. Hayes, while we appreciate your concern, we're handling this internally. Logan's smile was cold. Oh, you're going to handle it all right, but not behind closed doors. He placed a flash drive on the table. That's my sister's congressional contact. I already sent her the full timeline. ADA violations, failure to accommodate, harassment on federal property. You're looking at 6, maybe 7, violations of federal education law. Coleman went pale. Valor growled once. That afternoon, Destiny wheeled herself into her living room to find Logan hunched over a pile of mechanical parts in the garage. He'd been working non-stop since the arrest. New chair. He didn't look up. Eventually. Right now, I'm building pressure sensors, upgraded ones, not the junk those punks broke. Destiny smiled. You're not sleeping much. I've slept in ditches in Afghanistan. This is nicer. She rolled forward. Hey, I want to go back to school. Like, actually show up. They don't get to take my education. Logan finally turned. You sure? They took my mobility, my dignity. They don't get my future. He nodded slowly. Then we roll in together. She raised a brow. Together? Full escort, he said with a smirk. One soldier, one dog, one woman who won't stay down. The next morning at Jefferson High was unlike any before it. Destiny rolled through the front doors as students stood aside. Logan walked beside her, not in uniform, but in clean jeans, boots, and a shirt that read, Warrior, anyone who refuses to stay down. Valor trotted in sync, vest shining with his military badges. Signs had been taped to lockers. Destiny strong. Bullying stops here. We protect our own. Freshman Trinity Morrison, one of the students who'd filmed the cafeteria attack, ran up, nearly in tears. I'm so sorry I didn't help. I was scared. Destiny smiled. You helped. You filmed. That took guts. Ms. Chen met them at the classroom door. Logan, would you like to sit in on today's lesson? Logan nodded. If it's about history, I'm all ears. It's about Rosa Parks, Ms. Chen replied. Seems timely. Destiny rolled to her desk. The entire class stood and applauded. Later that day, Mayor Bradford's re-election committee issued a carefully worded statement. The actions of my son do not reflect the values of our family or this community. We are cooperating fully with the investigation. But Destiny wasn't buying it. At a press conference outside the courthouse, she made her own statement. I'm not a victim. I'm a survivor. And this isn't just about me. It's about every disabled kid who's been pushed, mocked, or ignored. We deserve more than sympathy. We deserve justice. A reporter asked, what would you say to other students who are afraid to speak up? Destiny looked at the camera. Document everything. Tell someone. Don't let them silence you. And when you can't stand, roll forward. That's what I did. And I won't stop. Logan nodded beside her. Valor barked once in solidarity. That night, on the porch, Destiny stared at the stars. You ever think this would blow up like it did? She asked. Logan shook his head. No, but I knew truth moves fast, especially when it's got wheels. She laughed, quiet and honest. I've been thinking about college, she said. Engineering, maybe designing better wheelchairs. Logan raised his glass. Now that's a revolution I'd fund. They sat in silence for a long while. Then Destiny said, You know what changed everything? What's that? When I crawled across that cafeteria floor. That moment, it hurt. But it also told the world, I'm still moving. Logan smiled. They can break the chair. They can spill the milk, but they can't stop you. Destiny nodded slowly. Not anymore? The day after Destiny's courthouse speech, the phones at the Jefferson School District office didn't stop ringing. Parents called. News stations called. Civil rights lawyers called. Even veterans groups reached out, citing the role of Staff Sergeant Logan Hayes and his canine partner Valor as catalysts for change. But the most important call came from Washington, D.C. A representative from the U.S. Department of Education's Office for Civil Rights left a voicemail for Superintendent Walsh. It was short, and it was chilling. We're launching a formal investigation into Jefferson High for possible violations of the Americans with Disabilities Act, Title VI and Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act. Please preserve all documentation. It didn't take long for the school board to scramble. By Friday, they'd scheduled an emergency meeting and invited Destiny and Logan to attend. Or, more accurately, they begged. The meeting took place in the district's boardroom, a stale-smelling, overly air-conditioned space with bland carpet and motivational posters that had clearly never worked. 5 board members sat behind long desks. In front of them, Destiny parked her chair, her old, squeaky backup one still dented. Logan stood behind her like a wall. Valor lay between them, calm but alert. Ms. Washington, began board member Harrison, the same one who'd brushed Destiny off the year before. We want to first say how sorry we are for the pain you've endured. Destiny stared at her without blinking. You got 17 chances to say that before this week. You didn't use any of them. The room stiffened. Superintendent Walsh jumped in. We acknowledge our failure to act, and we're here today to listen. Destiny pulled a folded sheet from her backpack. I'm not here to talk about the past. I'm here to change the future. She handed the paper to Logan, who passed it to the board. Mandatory sensitivity training for all faculty and staff. Monthly reviews of bullying reports. A full-time disability advocate position on every campus in the district. And one more thing. She looked straight at Principal Coleman. His resignation. Coleman's face turned red. Ms. Washington, Logan's voice cut in like a buzzsaw. 17 documented complaints, no investigations, no consequences. That's not just failure, that's complicity. Board member Harrison looked at Coleman. Do you have any defense? He opened his mouth, closed it. Destiny raised her hand. If you won't resign, I'll file a lawsuit. Federal, personal liability. I have legal backing now and public support. Silence. Finally, Coleman sighed. I'll submit my resignation. Tonight. Destiny nodded. That's a start. By the time they got home, Destiny's front porch was covered in mail. Some were local letters from students. Others had stamps from places like Chicago, Boise, Atlanta. One envelope bore the crest of MIT. Logan handed it to her with a raised eyebrow. She opened it carefully. We've seen your story and believe your voice and mind belong in spaces that change the world. If you choose to apply for our engineering program, we'd be honored to consider your candidacy. Enclosed is a scholarship opportunity. Destiny stared at it, stunned. I haven't even applied yet. Logan chuckled. Apparently, the world already has. The following week, Colton Bradford's arraignment brought Jefferson to a halt. The courthouse was surrounded by media trucks, protesters, and students from Jefferson High, many holding handmade signs with slogans like, "Wheelchairs are freedom," and "This is what justice looks like." Inside, the courtroom buzzed. Destiny sat beside Logan and a civil rights attorney named Alicia Monroe, a sharp woman in a gray suit with nerves of steel and a voice that could slice a lie in half. Mayor Bradford sat 2 rows behind, his face set like concrete. His wife wasn't present. Word had spread she'd filed for legal separation the same day the video broke. Then the door opened, and Colton was led in, hands cuffed, orange jumpsuit wrinkled. He looked smaller than Destiny remembered, like someone had taken all the cruelty out of him and left a scared boy. The judge, Patricia Blackman, was known statewide for her no-nonsense stance on hate crimes. She'd sentenced 3 college students to prison the previous year for attacking a deaf classmate. The prosecutor, Assistant DA Jennifer Martinez, rose. This case is not about immaturity. It's about calculated cruelty. It's about entitlement weaponized against vulnerability. And it's about justice long overdue. Colton's new defense attorney tried to frame it as teenage misjudgment. Destiny didn't flinch. When Judge Blackman addressed her, asking if she wished to speak, she nodded and rolled forward. I've been mocked, ignored, pushed, and broken. Not just by 3 boys in a cafeteria, but by an entire system that saw me as a problem instead of a person. She turned to Colton. You didn't just break my wheelchair. You broke my independence. But what you didn't break was my voice, or my future. The courtroom held its breath. I don't want vengeance, she continued. I want consequence, because if there's no consequence, then what happened to me will keep happening to others. Judge Blackman nodded. Powerful words, Ms. Washington. Thank you. She turned to Colton. Mr. Bradford, do you understand the charges against you? Colton's voice crepited. Yes, Your Honor. Do you understand the damage your actions caused? A pause, then, I do. Do you accept responsibility? His head dropped. Yes. Judge Blackman straightened in her chair. Then this court finds you guilty of aggravated assault, destruction of a mobility device, and violation of civil rights under state and federal statutes. Sentencing is set for 30 days from today. Colton was led away. Destiny didn't watch him go. That weekend, Destiny stood on stage at her first-ever public speaking event, a community forum on disability rights, hosted by a local university. She wore jeans and a black hoodie with "Unbreakable" written across the front. Logan stood in the wings. Valor lay at the edge of the stage, watching her like always. The moderator introduced her as a student, an activist, and an advocate for change. She rolled up to the podium and adjusted the mic. "When I was crawling across that cafeteria floor," she began, "I wasn't thinking about making history. I was just trying to reach the door." Laughter, nods. "But that crawl turned into a movement. Not because I'm special, but because people were watching. Because someone finally saw." She glanced back at Logan. "This man didn't know me, but he showed up, and sometimes that's all it takes to change everything." The audience applauded. She ended with a line that would go viral within hours. "They can break our equipment, but they can't break our spirit." That night, Logan found her back on the porch, staring at the sky. "You okay?" he asked, sitting beside her. "I think so." He nodded. "You changed a lot of lives today." She turned to him. "You ever think maybe all this happened for a reason?" Logan took a sip of his tea. "I don't believe in fate, but I do believe in response. The world throws fire, you throw light." They sat there in silence again, just like always. Two warriors from different battles, connected not by blood, but by belief. The porch light flickered on. Destiny smiled. The morning of Colton Bradford's sentencing, the air around Jefferson County Courthouse buzzed like something alive. Reporters lined the steps. Students stood in clusters holding signs that read things like "Protect the Vulnerable," "Justice for Destiny," and "Disability is not a punchline." In the middle of the storm, Destiny Washington rolled up quietly in her new wheelchair. This one didn't squeak, didn't stutter. It glided, quiet and confident, with deep purple accents and carbon fiber wheels. It had been donated anonymously after her story aired on Good Morning America. The chair even had an embedded camera, voice-activated controls, and a pressure-sensitive memory foam seat built for spinal injury comfort. Still, Destiny would have given it all back in a heartbeat if it meant her old chair and what it represented hadn't been taken so violently. Staff Sergeant Logan Hayes walked beside her, dressed in his cleanest jeans and a flannel shirt, Valor at his side in full K9 harness. The dog's badge shimmered in the morning sun. "How you feelin'?" Logan asked, adjusting the sleeves on his jacket. Destiny took a deep breath. Not angry, not scared either. She paused. "Just ready?" Inside the courtroom, the temperature dropped. Not literally, but emotionally. Everyone felt the weight of what was about to happen. The mayor sat in the front row again, stiff-backed, his reputation now in tatters. His political machine had gone dark. His wife hadn't shown up to a single hearing since the arraignment. The judge entered. "All rise." Everyone stood as Judge Patricia Blackman took her seat. "Court is now in session for sentencing in the matter of the state versus Colton Bradford." Colton was led in, no longer in orange scrubs. His legal team had dressed him in khakis and a button-up shirt, likely trying to soften the optics. It didn't work. His eyes were hollow. His shoulders sagged. He looked like a boy who had finally realized his armor of privilege had cracked. The prosecutor, A.D. Jennifer Martinez, stood. "Your Honor, the people request a firm sentence, not out of vengeance, but because hate-based violence must never be treated as a mistake. Mr. Bradford deliberately targeted the only disabled black student at his school. He destroyed a 20,000 piece of medical equipment. He humiliated her publicly, and he showed no remorse until cameras were rolling. The defense countered with pleas for leniency, citing Colton's youth, his academic record, and family ties. Destiny didn't speak this time. She'd said everything she needed to during the trial. Now she just watched. Judge Blackman flipped through her notes slowly. Then she looked up. "Mr. Bradford, please rise." Colton stood, weak-kneed. "This court finds that your actions were not impulsive nor harmless. You wielded violence, power, and social status to break a young woman's sense of security, and you did so with intent. As such, I am sentencing you to 4 years in state custody, followed by 5 years probation under monitored supervision. You will also be required to complete 800 hours of community service at a disability resource center and enroll in mandatory anti-bias training." She paused, then added, "And let this be clear. You are not being punished for being young. You are being punished for knowing better and choosing not to care." Colton blinked, stunned. His lawyer put a hand on his shoulder, but there was no fixing this now. As he was led away, Destiny didn't gloat. She didn't smile. She just watched him go with the same quiet intensity she had when she'd crawled across the cafeteria floor. Outside the courthouse, a wall of microphones waited. Reporters jostled for position. Flashbulbs popped. Logan gave her a look. "Your call." Destiny nodded. She rolled forward, adjusted her mic, and spoke. "I didn't do this to get revenge. I didn't fight because I wanted him locked up. I fought because this happens every day to students across America. Kids in wheelchairs, kids who stutter, kids who look different, love different, believe different. We get pushed, ignored, laughed at." She paused. "This time I pushed back." That night, the video of Destiny's statement reached over 10 million views in under 24 hours. By Monday, the Washington Post ran a headline that read, "Crawled across the cafeteria, climbed into the spotlight. Destiny Washington isn't done yet." But the part Destiny cared about the most wasn't the headlines or hashtags. It was the handwritten note she got in the mail from a girl named Sadie, a middle schooler in Minnesota. "I have spina bifida. I use a wheelchair too. I showed your video to my class. They stopped calling me Speed Bump. You made that happen." Destiny folded the letter carefully and tucked it into a binder she'd started filling with similar letters. Some were messy, some typed, some from parents, others from teachers. Each one reminded her that this wasn't just about her anymore. It was about everyone like her. Over the next month, Destiny did more than she ever expected to. She was invited to speak at disability conferences across the country. She had Zoom calls with high schoolers in Chicago, Nashville, Phoenix, kids organizing their own disability rights groups. She was even interviewed on The Daily Show. The host asked, "Do you think Colton deserves a second chance?" Destiny thought for a long moment before answering. "I think everyone deserves the opportunity to change. Whether they choose to, that's on them." Her answer made headlines. Meanwhile, back in Jefferson, the school changed too. Principal Coleman's replacement, Dr. Angela Rivers, came in swinging. Within her first 30 days, she implemented every item from Destiny's list and added 3 more. A district-wide equity audit, regular student-led town halls, and a new mural on the cafeteria wall, painted by the art students, titled "Rise Together." It featured a girl in a purple wheelchair reaching for a light above her. A boy beside her offered a hand. A dog sat between them both. Destiny didn't cry when she saw it, but Logan did. Just a little. One afternoon in early spring, Destiny sat in Logan's garage-turned-lab, watching him install new tech on the Destiny 2.0 prototype. This one had smart suspension, backup power, built-in emergency GPS, and a phone charger. "Fast enough to outrun a bully?" she joked. "Fast enough to run for office," Logan replied. He looked up. "You ever think about what's next?" "Yeah," she said. "MIT's calling. They'd be lucky to have you." She smiled. "I want to build wheelchairs that don't cost 20 grand. I want to make them accessible to kids like Sadie." That's the real win. Logan wiped sweat from his brow, changing the world one chair at a time. That night on the porch, as cicadas buzzed and fireflies blinked across the lawn, Destiny turned to Logan. You think Colton will learn anything in there? Logan stared out toward the trees. Some people don't change until they lose everything. Some don't change at all. But that ain't your burden to carry. She nodded. You did what needed doing. Now it's on him. Destiny leaned back and looked at the stars. Funny how something that broke me ended up building something bigger. Sometimes, Logan said, rock bottom's just the foundation for something unstoppable. Valor gave a soft whine beside them, resting his head on Destiny's footplate. And for the first time in a long time, she didn't feel broken. She felt built, on purpose, and ready for whatever came next. On a warm June afternoon, beneath a banner that read, Jefferson High School Class of 20XX, Destiny Washington rolled toward the graduation stage with the poise of someone who had already changed the world and had no plans to stop. The crowd in the auditorium rose as she entered. It wasn't the standing ovation that got her, though she appreciated it. It was the signs, quiet ones held up by students and parents alike. She rolled so we could rise, built not broken. Thank you, Destiny. Just behind her, Staff Sergeant Logan Hayes sat proudly in the audience, dressed not in uniform this time, but in a simple navy button-up and khakis. Valor, now slightly grayer around the snout, lay patiently by his feet, tail thumping as if he understood the significance of this moment. Destiny's fingers lightly rested on the joystick of her custom-engineered wheelchair, the Destiny 2.0, built with technology inspired by military-grade robotics and backed by a network of engineers she had met through her viral story. She had received her acceptance letter from MIT just 2 weeks earlier. Full scholarship. Mechanical engineering. But first she had a speech to give, and it would be the last one she'd give as a high school student. The principal, Dr. Angela Rivers, took the podium first. She opened with a warm smile and a nod to Destiny in the front row. Before we honor the valedictorian, she said, we'd like to recognize this year's salutatorian, someone whose courage, vision, and voice helped transform not only this school, but this town. She paused. Please welcome Destiny Washington. The room erupted into applause. Destiny rolled forward slowly, not because of hesitation, but to let the moment breathe. She wore a deep purple sash over her gown, embroidered with the words, advocate, engineer, leader. She reached the podium, adjusted the mic, and waited for the applause to settle. Then she spoke, her voice steady and clear. 10 months ago, I crawled across this school's cafeteria floor. The room fell silent. I crawled because someone broke the chair that helped me move through the world. I crawled because I was humiliated. And I crawled because no one else was going to do it for me. She looked out over the audience, locking eyes with students she'd known for years, and many more who had found their courage because of her. But crawling didn't break me. It revealed something. It reminded me that if we're willing to speak up, to stand, even when we can't stand physically, we can shift the ground beneath us. She paused, then continued. I didn't become an advocate because I wanted to be one. I became one because someone had to be. She gestured toward Logan in the audience. That day, a stranger walked into our school. A soldier with his dog. He didn't come because he was assigned to help. He came because he chose to help. And he reminded me that being a hero doesn't require a cape or a rank. It just requires a decision. Logan tipped his head in a quiet nod, his eyes glassy. Destiny took a breath. To every student here who's ever been overlooked, underestimated, or pushed aside, I see you. Keep pushing. Keep rising. And if your path isn't accessible, build a better one. I'm on my way to MIT to do just that. For you. For all of us. Tears shone in the eyes of parents and peers alike. She ended with a whisper that carried through the room like thunder. They broke my chair, but they didn't break me, and they never will. When she turned from the podium, The standing ovation lasted nearly 2 minutes. After the ceremony, students and families swarmed the school lawn for photos and goodbyes. But Destiny stayed a few steps back, soaking it in. She didn't need to be in every picture. The victory wasn't in the flash. It was in the change. Grayson Mitchell walked up quietly. He looked different now, humble. He wore a volunteer shirt from the local disability center where he'd spent the last few months serving his probation and reevaluating everything he used to believe. "Hey, Des." She turned, surprised. "Grayson, I wanted to say thank you." "For what?" "For letting me try to fix what I broke." Destiny nodded slowly. "It takes more strength to face your past than it does to ignore it." He handed her an envelope. "I've been saving. Part-time construction job, it's not much. $3,000. But I want it to go toward the next chair you build." Destiny smiled genuinely. "You didn't have to do this." "I know," he said, but I needed to." She took the envelope and tucked it under her arm. "Keep building, Grayson. The world needs more of that." A month later, Destiny moved into her dorm at MIT, surrounded by students from all over the world. Brilliant minds with brilliant ambitions. She fit right in. Her roommate was an AI developer from California who had designed a robotic arm for her brother. Another girl had 3D printed a lightweight exosuit for veterans with spinal injuries. Destiny found herself not just inspired, but equipped. With Logan's help, and Valor occasionally visiting campus as a service guest, she began designing a new line of affordable, modular wheelchairs. Chairs that didn't cost $20,000. Chairs with open-source code for student engineers to improve. Chairs that could be delivered in days, not months. She called the project Mobility for All. Her first TED Talk, How a Broken Chair Built a Movement, hit 5 million views within a week. And the closing line echoed across classrooms, boardrooms, and living rooms across the country. "They tried to limit my mobility. I responded by expanding the worlds." 2 years later, Destiny Washington returned to Jefferson High. This time not as a student, but as a commencement speaker. She wore a sharp gray blazer, rolled onto the same stage where she'd once spoken about survival. But today wasn't about survival. It was about leadership. She looked out at a sea of seniors, many of them from new programs she had helped launch. Accessibility innovation, digital design, and social justice seminars. And she told them, "You don't need to wait for permission to be powerful. You don't need someone else to save you. And you definitely don't need perfect legs to stand tall." When she finished, the seniors erupted with applause. And somewhere in the front row, Trinity Morrison, now a junior, held up a sign that read, "We rise because you rolled." As the story of Destiny's rise spread across platforms and countries, it was easy to forget where it started. Not with a viral video, not with a courtroom verdict, but with a single decision: to crawl, to not stay down, to make them see. Thank you for watching Destiny's story. We hope this journey moved you as much as it moved us to tell it. Destiny's strength, Logan's service, and Valor's loyalty remind us that real change doesn't always come from the top. It often begins on the ground. Literally. What about you? Have you ever seen someone take a stand when it mattered most? Or maybe been that someone? We'd love to hear your story in the comments. And if stories like Destiny's inspire you, please consider subscribing to our channel, Heroes for Animals, where we highlight courageous humans and animals creating change across the world. Because sometimes the heroes we need don't wear capes. They wear harnesses and wheels, and they never stay down.